Hello, I'm Anne-Marie Carvalho. I'm a counsellor and I run my own therapy agency in central London. And this is the latest in my series of bite-sized therapy videos, which are short, practical videos that deal with therapeutic principles, therapeutic concepts in a very kind of user-friendly way. And offer you some tips for how to deal with the stuff that keeps us all awake at night. And as well as being a counsellor, I'm also a family lawyer by background. So the subject that I'm going to talk to you about today is one that is very close to my heart and is a bit of a specialist subject, which is relationship breakups, separation, divorce, all that kind of thing, the really, really painful stuff in life. Now, we all have at least one relationship breakup that we can remember as being particularly brutal, and I have one that's kind of imprinted on my memory, in the aftermath of which I remember sitting on Clapham Common in London, just feeling completely desolate, completely lost, not sure what to do with my life, where to go from there. So I did what any self-respecting girl in their 20s would do at that point in her life, went down to Inferno's nightclub, drank a hell of a load of booze and made an attempt to find my next suitor. So clearly, as time goes on in life, we start to realise that that sort of reaction to a breakup is not very effective in terms of processing the feelings around it. So it's not one that I'd recommend. And what we're going to talk about today and what I'm going to offer to you are three very simple suggestions for how to genuinely process feelings following a breakup, genuinely try and kind of get through the difficulties of it all. And I'm going to start by giving you a little bit of a science experiment. And it's basically to depict what I am like in a relationship and what loads of people seem to be like as far as I'm concerned about relationships. So this glass of water represents somebody's life before they get into a relationship. Nice clear water. Now this little ink cartridge represents the relationship that they're about to get into. So if I put a little blob of ink in there, you'll see that the ink starts to disperse, and that as time goes on, the ink kind of disperses around the glass of water and starts to kind of eke into every little nook and cranny of the water. So what I'm trying to show with this is that we can start off with this nice kind of clear water in life. You know, we enjoy our jobs, we enjoy our friendships, our relationships with family, all of that stuff. We know where we're going, and then we get into a relationship, and it might even be a good relationship, but its little tentacles start to get everywhere into each area of our life, and it makes it very difficult to maintain our emotional independence. Now, the problem with that is when we break up with that person, if we do break up with them, we find it very difficult to get a sense of self back. Because that relationship has had its little tentacles into every area of our life. So my first tip for managing a relationship breakup is to find containment. And there are various ways of doing this. And one of the best ones, I think, is as soon as you can, in the immediate aftermath of the relationship breakdown, is to write down exactly what happened and to write a list of 5 or 10 reasons why you're no longer together. And the reason why I'm adamant about it being important to do this in the immediate aftermath is because as time goes on and the further away we get from the breakup itself, our mind starts to play these little tricks on us. We run this little video in our mind and we start to embellish or exacerbate the wrongdoing of the other person and minimise our wrongdoing. Or we might go to the other extreme and start pining for the other person and thinking, actually, they weren't that bad, they were quite nice, and I was absolutely terrible, and oh my God, maybe we should get back together. So it's really important to get an accurate list down, an accurate reflection of what actually happened as soon as possible in the aftermath. The other thing that's really important in terms of containment and containment of the effect of this breakup on your life is step away from the heartbreak records. Don't listen to too much Adele. You really, really need to limit that because, again, you know, it can quickly tip over from catharsis into an exacerbation of the feelings and dwelling and getting excessively maudlin about things. by the same token, you need to be very discerning about who you talk to about your relationship breakup. I think it's quite a good idea to make it a policy to only talk to particular people about the relationship breakup, because certain people will have their own agendas, they'll have their own take on things, their own views about relationships, and they're not necessarily all helpful. So maintain some clean water in your life. Keep some people that you don't talk to about the breakup, and that will help to contain things. My second tip is build self-esteem. This is a pretty obvious one on the face of it, but I want to tell you a story, which is I had a bad breakup a good few years ago, and in the aftermath of it, I went on a Buddhist retreat, and there was a seminar held by a Buddhist nun at this retreat, and the title was Building Self-Esteem. And this 2-hour seminar, she kept repeating the same principle, which is, in order to build self-esteem, you need to do esteemable things. You need to take esteemable actions. And at that time, I didn't know really what she was on about. I was thinking, well, I need to lose weight, I need to change my hairstyle, I need to get a new boyfriend. These are the ways to build self-esteem. But the memory of this seminar came back to me a few years later when, again, in the aftermath of a breakup, I signed up to some mentoring scheme, and I had to travel across London to go and mentor this young woman. And I travelled across London, and I really, really did not want to go and do this mentoring thing. I resented the hell out of it. I turned up at her house. I was miserable. I was really resentful about the whole thing. But this young girl started talking about some stuff she had going on. And what it meant was, listening to her just gave me a little bit of respite from my own feelings, from my own self-centeredness, basically. And it just gave me a little bit of that clean water, that space from my own feelings, just for a short period of time. And it gave me enough to make me feel useful and to think, actually, I've been of use to this girl today. So as I was travelling home, I did actually feel that genuine, slight lift in self-esteem, because your self-esteem takes a battering when you go through a breakup. So just spending that time with that girl, thinking about something other than what I was going through, gave my self-esteem a little bit of a lift, and it just helped me to get through another day following that breakup and feel a little bit better about myself. Last tip, ask yourself 3 questions. I want you to get a notebook for this if you're going through a breakup at the moment. The 3 questions are these. What did you enjoy most when you were a kid? Second question, when do you feel most like yourself? Third question, what brings you joy? So first question, what did you most enjoy as a kid? Second question, when do you most feel like yourself? And third question is, what brings you joy? And the reason for asking these questions is because they help to get back a little bit of a sense of self, a little bit of a sense of who you are, independent of this relationship, who you were before, what were you interested in as a kid, because what you were interested in as a kid often gives you clues as to what might hold your attention these days, what interests might have fallen by the wayside, and what might you quite like to explore. Now you've got a little bit more time to do it. And the other 2 questions of when you most feel like yourself and what brings you most joy are just intended to help get you thinking about who you really are. What's your identity at the core of all of this? And all that is stuff that will help to sustain you and get you through the difficult days at the moment. So I hope that's been helpful. There are loads of blogs and videos and other tips on my website, www.carvalhotherapy.com. And thanks for watching.